Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to do a viewer vids update video, and I'll do a couple little clips around my place. We're going to Georgia to visit Brandon, Alberta to visit Chris, and Joe over in Wisconsin. Brandon is actually an Overstory member of the YouTube channel, so consider supporting the channel down below. And there's different tiers. Brandon, for the Overstory member, we actually had a little bit of a consultation. Went back and forth on some of his design ideas. I gave him some feedback and he modified his design. And wait till you see his property. It's fantastic. He has got a lot going on there. So without further ado, I'll just do a couple little clips and we'll transition over into the viewer vids. Thanks for watching, everybody. So a couple panels on my gazebo actually blew off this winter in a big windstorm, and they got damaged to the point they have to get repaired. So I'll have to fix that this summer. I have a pickaxe in there because I'm basically just keeping that air hole open for the fish. So you have to ideally get some gas exchange going on, or else CO2 will build up in your pond. We have the bubbler still going. You can kind of see the line going under there, and the bubbler itself is sitting over here. So that kind of keeps the fish nice and oxygenated and allows that gas exchange of the CO2 and the oxygen. And other than that, it is cold and snowing here. I think after this 1-minute video, I'm gonna run inside and warm up. You get frostbite very quickly when it's this cold. So good luck to my food forest. I hope it survives. It's been pretty nasty weather here for the last little while. Actually, I just checked. It hit minus 38 last night. Right now, it's only minus 28, so I'm being a bit of a wuss. It's not that cold, I guess. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to remind everybody. I know it looks freezing and it's snowing, and the last thing you're thinking about right now is probably your gardens, but you should be starting to plan and order your trees and your seeds right now, because I think the next year is going to be very similar to the last year, where tree nurseries went out of stock really early in the season. So make sure that you're getting everything that you want. Start ordering now.
So, quick overview of what's happening right now. Really trying to focus on cutting out this super invasive non-native species called Chinese privet. It's been a real nightmare and has really dominated this forest over here. I'm trying to kind of take it back little by little. Large composting wood chip pile there that I just get from the local arborist. Over here, got a trellis that hopefully grapes and cucumbers in the meantime will grow up in the spring. And there, I've got pomegranate, peach. 3 different varieties. The ones down here, obviously, it's significantly better. I'm almost thinking it's because better drainage. I think they had a little bit healthier life, but really exploded in growth from where they were. Extremely happy about that. Out front, down that little patch there, hopefully I can get some raspberries to go, but I don't know if I'm gonna keep them in that area. Apples right here, and then plums, and I got some comfrey started on these 2 beds right there. Plums here also, but doing pretty poorly. Then pears here, 2 different variety between these 2. And this bed here, really it's expanding because this is gonna host a few more fruit trees. And really just kind of prepping the land. Everything here is Bermuda, and it's just so bad trying to get rid of it. Super destructive too. So strawberries, some blueberries. I'll probably pot my blueberries from now on. Nectarines, one that came in pretty weak from the nursery, an obviously stronger one here, and then one that got chewed up by a pretty damaging pest called peach tree borer. So that's been a rough battle. More nectarines here. Really thrilled with the growth on these. And then I've got garlic planted down here and actually interplanted with those nectarines too. So strawberries and blueberries. Getting the annual garden ready back there. Gonna wood chip mulch a lot of it. Probably not necessary, but this over here is the so far pile for the the removal of the privet. It's been a real tough battle, but I figure at least if I kind of pile it up there, one, it'll dry out and I'll turn it into biochar eventually. Two, you can have some homes for some of the smaller creatures out there, some of the birds that like to go after sunflower seeds. Here, all strawberries. These are June bearing, and then ever bearing down there. And by the peaches over there, there's ever bearing. So cherry trees kind of lining this bed. There's all 3 different variety cherry trees. A goji berry growing right there. And I've also got garlic on this newer bed here. I've got garlic planted all down this row. And over here we've got asparagus, which was real cool and real fun to see grow, how quick it grew. I already cut back all the stalks. Everything had already died and kind of got stiff, so I just cut it back.
Well, here we are, the end of a fall day. Things come apart. My herbs are all inside. I put in a apricot tree, which did not take. It died. In the far distance, there's a haskap, and then a bunch of wildflowers and clover that I planted. Walking onions in here. See my strawberries gone crazy. Some of the wildflowers, bee balm, clover, and another haskap is in here somewhere under these wildflowers. Oh yeah. There it is. That, it took like 40 days from bare root planting. My pots are done. Some asters, black-eyed Susans, bee balm. Just still want to transplant into the soil. This is a ground cherry, which got lots of flowers, cherries on it, and still flowering like mad. Herbs are doing very well. Sage, rosemary, chives, dill. I cut a bunch of those. I was very successful. There's my low bush blueberry. Some transplants that I did in the heat wave. That one there, beautiful flowers. Leeks, which have to come out. Daikons, they went to seed immediately in the heat. And now my brassicas some of them are going to seed. So, I'm gonna have to trim this west side next to the hothouse down significantly and try to drive the thing to bend over and come down. My phlox, it's spread a couple spots. And of course these lupins, they spread like mad. This is my triple plum, which I put in this year. I've got to reimagine my pruning strategy for these fruit trees. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it at the top a bit. I'm going to trim these back a bit and keep it open in the center. For the beans, these are doing great on the trellis. They really climbed up there, but you notice they're just flowering right now. Here I've got the beans climbing, and also a bed of beans. As you see, as you look in here, a couple of varieties. These ones are just about ready to harvest. On the other side, sugar snap peas. Not doing great. I think it was too hot. I figured the beans would just keep going and go straight up, but they've kind of got a anti-gravity. One of the things that I'm thinking is that I've got this space, this caterpillar trellis, that I could fill in with a more permanent vine, that I'm thinking grapes might do that. And another interesting thing is these beans in this system. When I get up to the point where the arch starts to bend over, then the beans, when they fruit, they send out a little fruiting stalk. So what you end up with is you've got an arch with your fruit hanging right down in your face. So it's perfect for harvesting. Egyptian walking onions. My one grape that's been here a few years, I got one tiny bunch out of it. It's growing up, so I'm letting it grow up into my bird feeder. Then cross over into this post with the idea I'm going to let it next year hopefully grow up and swing over to the top of my arch. Cherry bushes did well, as did my apples. Oh, they are so sweet and delicious. It's fantastic. Polar posts with the wires. Yeah, it was a mixed success. I got some beans eventually to grow way up, but I didn't get much harvest. My peas did poorly except for these along the hothouse. And look at those, are totally munched by the rabbit. And on the kale, bugs got those. Also, as you can see here, I've got tremendous problems now with moles. And here's some of their handiwork. All right, let's get some more nut butter here. Okay, I got it in there. Now let's light it. It's lit. I've just finished with the pump blowing out my drip irrigation. My asparagus bed gotten established. Still got a lot of carrots in here I need to harvest. My ever-bearing raspberries, you can see, they're blooming. It's gonna be -7 here tonight. So that's not gonna take, but they should overwinter, and then the tips will produce nothing next year where there's blooms, but everything down below, all the way down, will put out branches, and we should have a massive crop. Hothouse is just about shut down. Everything's taken out. I'm storing my drip tape in here, and dug out those bags. I got to do some work probably in the spring. I'm gonna fill up a box where those bags are, so I can plant in ground. Mushrooms that came up just before I left on holidays, and they grew like mad and then exploded. And what we see is lots of tomatoes in a pot on the right hand side, in the ground on the left. Now, the only thing that's really done anything of particular merit for harvest is a zucchini. As you look down on this plant here, you can see there's a nice zucchini. And I've also found I basically have to hand fertilize everything. These pumpkins here, we got a nice vine, but I hand fertilize these two, and that's why I've got fruit. My tomatoes in the ground have done fairly well. You can see this is like a beefsteak. Troughs, they finally kicked in. Harvesting cherries. And beautiful, ripe, luscious, grape-sized cherries. There's a horseradish. Here's my jostaberry, looking good. That's a hazelnut in the middle, a jostaberry. Over on the side on the trellis is some more Arctic kiwi. It's where I did the potatoes. Again, not very successful. I drew some artichokes. Here's one I pulled up. There's the ground level, inch below ground level. A nice looking potato. See those little potato seedlings? There's ground level. The seed potato is way down here, like 2 feet below. And then in the front, we've got the Arctic kiwi. Look at, there's a fruit right there. It did well. It's gone way up into the eaves. So finally in the front, I got clover. I got some wildflowers. And this little guy, which I planted last year, it finally came up. Got about a dozen raspberries and lots of clover. These raspberries should all bloom next year, although I did get about a dozen or so. Out in the side yard, I've got these bags of leaves, which I've been gathering from a local park, and shredding them with a shredder, and then mixing them in to my compost pile in layers, lasagna layers with greens, shredded leaves, lots of water. And this is the second bin. This is the one that I did earlier in the year, and I turned and moved over here.
So this is the backyard. We've got a lot of black walnut trees, and so we have to do container gardening. Here is a broad view of the backyard. Got a shed. Back here is the compost heap. There's a bat house up there. And then here are some elderberry bushes being black walnut surrounded yard, and to come up with ways to grow something here. So I've got elderberries and currants. Here's a white mulberry tree. Some cherry bushes.